So does it feel like your dad is still controlling you, like a puppet master pulling strings inside your head, yet you've been out of his house for years, but there's this invisible force making you a people pleaser, and it's not the way that you want to be. In this video, I'm going to show you why this pattern happens, how it's shaped by your childhood, and most importantly, a 4-step process for how to break free and start living life on your own terms and doing what you want to do. And before we dive in, let me introduce myself. So I'm Rubin, Naidu, transformational coach and creator of Authenticity Academy. This is the work that I do, what I've dedicated my life's work to. So if you need help, if you need support, there's a link below to learn more about Authenticity Academy, and I'd love to support you along your journey. Now, when you grow up with a controlling parent, especially a raging, volatile, angry dad, it's devastating, right? It's heartbreaking because our dads they're our first hero. Before Batman, Superman even ever bursted onto the scene in your life, you would look up to your first hero, and that was your dad. And the heartbreaking thing is, that hero is the very one calling you useless, worthless, stupid, dumb. What the hell is wrong with you? Criticizing you, shaming you. And when you hear these words over and over and over again, you start to internalize them as true. And it's a heavy burden for any young boy to carry. Now, I want to take a moment to acknowledge you and help you realize and understand how resilient you are, how much strength you have on the inside. Because given those cards you were dealt, you learned how to survive. You adapted to the situation. I think it's extremely, extremely, extremely important to take a moment to acknowledge yourself for making it out of there. And so how did you adapt and survive is you learned very quickly when you were young that being you is not enough for the approval and love of your dad or your parents. And so what you did is you learned that you have to earn getting that love and approval by doing exactly what he wants you to do, by being who he wants you to be instead of being yourself. And in the process, the real you disappeared. But here's the catch: you're no longer living your own life. How could you be if the real you had to disappear in your upbringing? And when you do this, you're no longer going to be playing your life on offense where you're going after things and doing the things that you want to do. You're going to be playing your life on defense in a way where you live in fear. It's like navigating a minefield. Every decision that you make is made to prevent that eruption, that explosion of anger, shame, criticism, judgment. And the thing is, over time, as you transition into manhood, you'll start to realize those mines in the minefield, they become less and less about your dad, and they start showing up in every relationship that you have with your friends, your co-workers, your bosses. But don't worry, I got your back. I'm gonna walk you through a 4-step process so that you no longer have to live this way and you can break free. So let's start off with step 1, recognize the pattern. So start to notice when you're doing something just to keep the peace. So you don't ruffle any feathers, you keep the status quo, or you're trying to get the approval of somebody else. Awareness is the most important step. It's the first step to change. So for example, one of my students always felt inferior to his group of friends. His group of friends, they went to university, they got the girlfriends, they ended up getting married, settling down, having kids. He was still single, sacrificing himself, taking care of his family, watching his friends progress. And he would always get called out to these barbecues, these parties, these get-togethers, and feel completely anxious in his head. And before one of our coaching calls, he gets the text, yep, the boys are getting together. One of our boys, he just had another baby. Let's all get together. Let's celebrate this beautiful moment. Yes, another opportunity for our student to go and celebrate somebody else's life and feel jealous and envious and inferior to his friends. And so he says to me on our coaching call, he's like, Rubin, I just cannot stand going to these events. I hate going there. I'm anxious. I'm in my head. I don't fit in. I'm tired of feeling less than everybody else. What should I do? And he looks away because he's scared of the answer. And I say, don't go. You don't have to go. Don't go. And he looks up and he's like, what? He's like, I thought you were gonna force me to go. I thought you were gonna tell me to go face my fears. And so I said to him, yes, absolutely. I want you to face your fears, but that's not your fear. Which brings us to step 2. Release your guilt. His guilt was his actual fear, because when I asked him, well, how do you feel about just sending a text, sending a message, saying that you can't make it out this time? Because the pattern is always going just to show face, just to show up, just to be the nice guy that's there for everybody else, existing another body at the party. I said, how do you feel about sending that text and saying I can't make it? And he was riddled with guilt and overwhelming. His whole physiology, his breathing, the discomfort, the anxiety. Well, what if I send that message? They call me a sellout. They say, oh man, you've changed, bro. Things aren't the same. What if they think I'm weird? They think I'm going through something. I'm not normal. You see the guilt? The guilt is the actual fear. But again, the guilty voice in your head, it's not the real you. It's the way your dad used to guilt you for not doing what he wanted you to do. So recognize the pattern, disrupt the pattern, release your guilt. Now, step number 3 is learn to say no. So create space for your own needs. Saying no does not make you a bad person. It makes you somebody who respects themselves. And when you respect yourself, other people will do the same. So for example, my student had to first practice sending that text message to his boys. His first inclination was, I gotta make enough excuse, I can't make it because of this and this. Don't lie, be authentic, okay? I can't make it because I gotta deal with a personal issue. I got something going on. Be honest, be authentic. What ended up happening is he had a friend, actually, one of the people in the group, you know, he'd get his usual response, oh, what's wrong with you, man? To one person that was like, hey, man, hope you're okay. Hope you're well. You always got to do the self-care. I understand. So instead of 5 fake friends, he can now connect with that one real friend. When you say no to things that don't serve you, you open up space in your life for things that do. For a student, for example, I'm not going to go here and continuously run this pattern where I'm going and showing up and celebrating everybody else and their relationships. I'm going to resolve my own issues and pursue my own dating and pursue my own relationship of my own, so that I'll have something to celebrate for myself. And the last one is a very important one, is step 4, define who you want to be. So we do this in depth, and we do this to spec inside Authenticity Academy. But what I want you to start doing is thinking about the man that you want to become. So take a moment right now and get a clear picture of him. Okay, do you see him? Who is he? How does he make decisions? What does he value in his life? What does he stand for? What does his day look like? What behaviors does he have? I want you to design this to spec, and I want you to keep this vision as your North Star, something that you can always point and orient yourself towards. Because when you start living with this vision in mind, and through each and every situation, you say no to guilt and you say yes to your true self, you move closer and closer to that version of yourself, and you start to develop your own integrity. Integrity is key. On the flip side, you're no longer going to be that version of yourself that your whole reward system is based on the approval of other people. And when you no longer need the approval of other people and you develop your own value system, you have your own internal integrity, your own internal compass, who do you truly break free from? Remember what we talked about at the beginning of the video. You're truly breaking free from your father. You're truly getting out from underneath his shadow and you become a free man. Okay, so ultimately the shift is when you're no longer a people pleaser and you're a leader of yourself, it doesn't mean that you stop caring about others. It means you stop sacrificing yourself just for the sake of a false image that people have of you that's out of date anyway. You have the power to lead your life, not as the scared little boy that had to please everybody just to survive his childhood home, but as a man who chooses his own path. And if you're ready to take this deeper, I've created a step-by-step program and it's within Authenticity Academy. It's designed for guys just like you. Guys who are tired of being anxious and ashamed and living in somebody else's shadow, and they're ready to reclaim their true confidence, their self-worth, and their true identity. So if this is you, I wanna see you on the inside. I'd love to be able to support you. It's time to start living for yourself. So make sure you click the link below in the description. I hope the video was helpful and I will see you soon in the next video, all right? I'll see you later.